Ramsey, you've had a fascinating career. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you yourself and how you set up your business?
Sure, absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me on your show.
Pleasure.
A little bit about our company. We started off as a search engine marketing company. And the problem we solved, very specific problem we solved at the time, 2004, is advanced paid advertising strategy. So we were considered a search engine marketing company. And we evolved into a full-blown digital agency that consists of web design, SEO, social media, and AI as we know it today. This has been a progression in the making that I consider it to be natural. For our clients, their problem is I'd like to work with one person that really understands my business and not piece this out. One element to a search engine marketing company, another element to SEO, another element to website and branding. So we polished our skills over the years, and I like to think that we do a really good job at delivering solutions to our clients that will elevate their business. As a result, we see continued growth, and we still have clients, believe it or not, today from when we first established, when I was working out of my living room in 2004.
That is absolutely awesome. So you've seen a lot. What are the biggest shifts you've actually seen in this digital advertising in the last 20 years now?
Well, the latest buzzword is AI.
Yeah.
And this artificial intelligence thing is a phenomenon, and it's not going away anytime soon. It is the future, and the future is now.
Yeah.
This shift, this transformative shift, if I may, is reshaping all industries. And it's not about replacement, it's about partnership. So the real winners are those that will embrace AI, adopt AI, and understand how to best leverage AI, contrary to all the hype of the jobs that are being lost and whatnot. It will evolve into a new industry. It'll elevate the skill set of students and then also professionals and businesses, all the way up to the tip top. And we see this with our current client, GDI, Global Data Innovations, who's a cybersecurity and AI security consultancy. And we're learning quite a bit from them at their expense, of course, but some of the hurdles and challenges that we see corporations facing as a result of this tectonic shakeup, right? So when we look at AI is supposed to turn things around quickly and smoothly, and maybe with the stroke of the brush cover 80% of that issue, and the other 20% is humanized. It still needs a human element, needs handling. So there's no in the book the underlying challenge, right? So in the belly of the beast, it's so what reference point do I have for adoption of AI? So most folks, what they do is they go into your Grok, right, your Gemini, Chat GPT, and ask AI how to adopt AI and how do they prepare for AI. So that's not the most efficient and effective way, only because the AI brain itself is relatively new and is still indexing the world. So there's no in-the-box solution. It's up to folks like ourselves at Aqaba Digital to figure that out on a per-case basis. I wish I had the perfect answer, but that's why you're seeing the industry just top-end itself right now, and the stock market is it's on fire. It's a phenomenon, and we don't know what to make of it. But we know it's there. You can't ignore it, and if you do, you will be left behind.
So you're having to balance tech, or the human empowerment and the AI side. You're a services business as well as a tech company. So firstly, on the human empowerment, which isn't being replaced by AI, how do you balance all that and explain to people what the benefits they are when they work with you?
Well, that's a great question, and it has to be on a per case basis. Because the documentation of this natural progression of AI is being documented heavily. And I think we're going to look back at the history books and say to ourselves, what took us so long? right? As the human race.
Yeah.
So I can't really tell you other than what motivates me and our team is the need for information because we're data driven and analytics focused. So if there's a metrics in place, those metrics are a North Star, a guiding light,
Hmm.
right? So we take the reverse engineering approach. So if we know where we need to be, how do we backtrack to where we are? And then how do we confirm, check, double check that that is the right path? So you take these elements in small bits and pieces, segment them, and that's where AI can really help you hone in on the elements. But the overall is very generic and broad. And that's what we've learned today. Tomorrow, and I mean literally tomorrow, that will probably change. But we're seeing the ins and the outs, the output of AI as a light, and it
Hmm.
draws us to the light.
Got you. So as part of that light, you hear more and more people talking about agents. So, you can talk of examples. It could be an agent that acts like a junior person in a healthcare, or an agent that acts like a junior attorney or in an attorney firm. How do you see those coming into play to help with AI being successful?
Well, let's use the example of the junior attorney. So we have an IP attorney, a firm, a significant firm, and they have junior attorneys that do a lot of clerical. And that's how they learn, right? Clerical work, form submissions, data gathering, briefs. Well, the AI is taking the majority of that role. It's doing the work of a junior attorney at this IP firm, and Google is one of their largest clients. So here's the irony, right? Google has hired this IP firm who's using AI to support Google and their and all of their licensed software, maybe their protocols, maybe it's their operations. I couldn't tell you specifically, but from my understanding that it covers about 90% of that role. The other 10% is the verification and humanization, right? Let's
Yeah,
confirm that this information, but having to do that research is now done in moments. And I've got this patent that is just about buttoned up within a matter of days versus weeks alone just in research.
that makes a difference. So part of making that work must be an LLM, because obviously there's something that that company has that Google doesn't, which is some way of formalizing and documenting their intellectual property such that there's a model that can work around it. Is that how you've been helping make that differentiation?
Binary, yes. So this synthetic brain, this AI agent, is a large language model
Yeah.
that tends to yield the greatest results or the nearest results as possible. You have to be careful in terms of the legal terms that I know that this large language model is being told to learn, right? So index this information. Here are all the use cases. Here's the case law. Here's the business case. Process this data and come back to me in the tone, in the voice of, say, an analyst,
Hmm.
right? And then there's another perspective. So give me these perspectives. Let me make my case, and I can do that all within several prompts. But to go broad within a public domain, an LLM, isn't just. And that's where folks are misinterpreting the synthetic brain or an agent as you had stated.
So how much of a company's differentiation now is going to be in their personal or their company's LLM, where they've got that institutional knowledge that isn't out in the public ether, but they're using for their LLM to help make a difference?
Well, that's where it's headed because it doesn't make economical sense for small and maybe even mid-sized organizations to adopt AI and things over time, generationally speaking, it'll become more cost effective. Infrastructure, energy usage, these are all unknown variables that we can't account for. And then there will be a harmonious balance in play in the future where adoption will be more reasonable, less time consuming, more cost effective, and its output can be more vertical. The more infrastructure we have in place, right? It'll only improve over time. I don't know what that looks like. I couldn't tell you what the big tech is actually doing, but I know they're working diligently at it. I mean, when they're building data centers the size of New York, right? And one footprint is just unimaginable.
So, as you'd said, it's going to be, if thinking of other agencies, if they don't adapt, they're pretty much going to be out of business.
We're already seeing this. I'm seeing this across just media in general.
Hmm.
You have the production of a video in traditional terms, right? We'll call it analog days and not AI days. With your Google VO most recent release,
Yeah.
it's amazing. These folks are planting their feet deep in the ground and not adopting AI, not even for elements. So they're using this long, arduous, dated protocol. That's all they know. And the cost for that production is phasing them out, regardless of how good or how talented or how creative they are. I can go through multiple variations or iterations of an AI generated or an AI studio, call it, right? Within a day and pitch the client along each generational rev or variation of that creative in the same day, just by sending him a text or an email, say, here's Rev 4. What are your thoughts? Right? Think about the traditional analog approach on what that would look like. Don't like it. Okay, I got to go back to my studio, reshoot this video, right? Splice it in, sound, dub it over, get my talent who's working remotely, schedule it with them because they're freelancers. It's inefficient.
You mentioned VO, that the video AI tool from Google. For those of you people who don't know about it, and what can you tell them?
Well, they probably know about it and unaware. If you're on social media, there's a couple characters. I think one is a Bigfoot and the other one's a Yeti, and they just go all over the world with all these humanized scenarios, right? And there's comedic humor behind each, I don't know, 18-second video clip that's only going to improve. And it's all over social media. That is 100% pure VO.
Gotcha. Good example. And so when you look ahead, this is going to change that element, for the content creative. What other elements do you think are going to change in the digital advertising and possibly even in the business space that you're starting to see?
Well, that's
Mm.
a pretty bold statement. It's a natural progression or of evolution, right? Like we went from dragging knuckles to landing on Mars. Like our trajectory is out of sight. It's unbelievable. It's going to be a matter of infrastructure that's going to drive that, in my opinion. And then it becomes more affordable. So the power is a natural, is a natural utility that is required. The infrastructure, the data centers to process all of this synthetic use is necessary. And then the bandwidth, and you may look at possibly satellite transmission. And this is just a natural progression of infrastructure that will improve across the globe and make it more readily accessible. So waiting for these hotspots to hit their mark is now eliminated, and that's the push. So I do believe it's an betterment to mankind, and not at at the cost of some elements that we're all aware of, right? Like, the computers taking over the world. That's just something government will have to regulate. We'll let them deal with that. But it's improving life. It's improving science. It's improving education. It's improving everything we do. Manufacturing will be improved. Efficiencies will be improved. And not only agriculture could be improved, but overall, I think it's just a natural progression. I couldn't really tell you a timeline, but I know without the infrastructure, Robert, it's impossible to deliver on all points.
So that probably is the limiting factor.
Yes.
Yeah. And you mentioned a bunch of things. I think it's also, there's a potential in the medical world that this is going to have huge impacts with that kind of power.
Yeah.
So imagine an agency owner who's probably at this point in time, if they've been looking, could feel fairly overwhelmed with everything that's going on.
Sure.
How would you advise them to start if they're going to go? I've been using my Chat GPT, I've been using Grok, whatever I've been doing. How do they start to do it properly? What's the first things they need to do?
Well, there are many free courses that can be had. I feel as a business person, and I'm talking from the creative technology perspective, from our perspective. I was not an SEO expert, right? I was an expert at Google Ads, PPC, and that required some marketing savviness. So creative design, content is necessary to compete and to deliver a superior product. You have to have right side and left side brain. So you learn. I took Google Academy. I understood PPC back when Google just went public, and we were strictly Yahoo, and then Google launched, and the rest is history. So there was no SEM agency in the box type kit I could have, purchased or subscribed to, and I learned. I got my lumps and my scuffs along the way. And then came web design. We hired 6 web designers / developers. We fired all 6. They got lazy and complacent. They didn't understand information architecture. I was a bit ahead of my time. We just knew that for our ads to perform at our level of expectation, we needed a website to perform in a certain fashion. So I said to myself, well, they're not smarter than I'm going to learn web design. So I knew what I wanted, but I hired the right people.
That makes sense.
SEO, the same thing, right? So I learned SEO. Social media, the same thing. Then social ads came out, the same thing. AI, I'd like to think that I've gotten a little bit smarter over the years, and it should be a little bit easier to process and adopt. Our clients depend upon that logic, that theory of adoption to new technology to be our job.
Absolutely.
Our responsibility.
Are you hiring people now who are AI experts?
Way smarter than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which makes a lot of sense.
But in practice, the same theory is applied. I know what I want. Here's how we're going to measure it. Deliver.
Got you. And do you think that's the piece of advice you give to people to help them future-proof as things change?
I think it's the greatest takeaway from this conversation, not just the AI, but just having the mindset to improve and to be on the cusp, at least on the outer peripheral of adoption of new technology.
Absolutely. I do appreciate it. So that people could maybe connect with you, learn more, how do they get hold of you and your organization?
Ramsey Sweis, RAMSEY SWEIS. I'm on LinkedIn and often. And feel free to come to our website, aqaba.digital, AQABA.digital. And we have our information on the website. Submit a form. I'd be happy to chat and have a virtual coffee with you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Ramsey. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.